I finally got around to watching the new D&D movie, and I have been plagued by horrible brain times in the form of migraines and just so much brain fog. So we're gonna talk about Honor Among Thieves, because I've only got so much energy to work with, and I liked it. On the whole, Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves doesn't really have any big themes that I'd usually dig into. It doesn't really touch on disability or queerness in any meaningful ways, if at all. It is, however, Dungeons and Dragons, which I play a lot of. Granted, almost exclusively in homebrew settings, but still, that game's created a lot of fun memories for me. Which is why I love that the movie itself can easily read as an actual D&D campaign being played by real people. The kind of shenanigans the characters get up to are exactly the kind of shenanigans that my party would pull. Our main quartet of Edgin, Holga, Simon, and Doric all feel like believable PCs, and it doesn't take a lot at all to fashion the story of a D&D table around the story of the movie. Because I don't want this to take the whole video, let's run this down real quick. The original group consists of Ed, Holga, Simon, and Forge's players. Sofina joins the party for the heist that goes horribly wrong, as that one DMPC that the characters should be incredibly suspicious of. Whether the DM intended for Holga and Ed to get captured or not isn't really relevant. It happened, and that required some above-table talk for what happens next. They settle on a time skip during which Forge's player either decides they want to retire the character or has to leave for IRL reasons. The DM takes this opportunity to ask if they'd be okay with Forge continuing on in the story as an antagonist, and gets the go-ahead, forming the bones of the next adventure. Now, either Forge's player creates Doric, or a new player is recruited to fill Forge's player's spot. Either way, Doric joins the party, with a backstory tied to Simon that makes for an easy way to rope her into things.
I courted you. You said I made you feel sad. Not from anything I did, just from who I was.
Oh. Yeah.
So, what about Xenk? Either a quest-relevant NPC that the party got attached to, and the DM had to have walk off into the sunset because his backstory demands he be powerful, and he'd throw off the encounter balance with Sofina, or he's another player the DM specifically pulled in to play Xenk/be co-DM for the Underdark section because they messed up the encounter balance with the Thayans and Thembershod. Either way, the kind of character that's meant to only be in the story briefly, but the party gets attached, so the DM adds that little after-credits-esque moment with him and Forge for them at the end of the campaign. But that's enough of the red string corkboard theory crafting about a D&D party that's not actually relevant to the movie at all. Let's talk characters. Specifically, I want to talk about our autistic king, Xenk Yendar, but let's run through some other stuff I loved about the characters in this movie first. Starting with Sofina, our resident big bad evil guy, a red wizard of Thay in the service of Zastam, looking to extend Thay's undead influence past its borders. Sofina is the rare evil lady wizard who is allowed to be genuinely sinister and off-putting. Even before you know who and what she really is, the dark circles around her eyes and her general manner all serve to make her unsettling. Add to that the fact that she wears large billowing robes that conceal most of her physical form, and she's about as far from the sexy wicked sorceress as you could possibly get. Don't get me wrong, the sexy sorceress can also be intimidating, but it's such an overdone trope, and so often her sexiness serves to defang her. Like the author can't stomach the idea of an evil woman who isn't at least easy on the eyes. I have a massive problem with the ugly equals evil trope, of course, but Sofina isn't ugly either. Far from it. In her mortal guise, she could easily have been the beautiful but deadly evil lady wizard. But instead, she's just really goddamn unsettling. Probably has something to do with being a 300-year-old necromancer. Moving over to our protagonists. One thing I really deeply appreciate is the genuine, platonic co-parenting that Edgin and Holga are seen doing. They're friends, they care about each other deeply, they've raised a child together, but when it's suggested that they're together, they balk at it.
Some supper for you and your wife?
What?
Me with that.
Those
lips?
So gross. Just the drinks.
And not in that it's gonna happen later kind of way. They stay friends right through to the end of this movie. I don't think I've ever seen a fictional friendship between a man and a woman be this close and real and stay a friendship unless one of the characters is gay. I genuinely love that they did this because, yeah, shocker, men and women can be friends, and families are what we make of them. I especially love how Edgin started the journey proclaiming that he would use the Tablet of Reawakening to bring Kira's mom back, meaning his wife, but in the end he used it to bring Holga back, her actual mother, regardless of blood. It's just a story I haven't really seen before, and I love that they did it. And finally, let's talk about Xenk Yendar. I love this man so much. I hardly think I'm the first person to claim him for the autistic community, but I'm doing it anyway.
I see. I do not traffic in colloquialisms.
I mean, there's autistic-coded characters, and then there's this guy. Like, my god. From the rigid moral code that he won't break to his literal mindedness and how he'll speak his mind even when what he's saying will not endear him to his listener, right down to the entirety of the bridge scene, I especially enjoyed how they handled his moral code as a paladin. Black and white thinking is one of those things that tends to be very common among autistic people. I know it's something I personally still struggle with sometimes. Learning to see the world in shades of grey is something I had to put a lot of conscious work into. Xenk, like most paladins, has his moral code that he won't break. He's not, however, one of those paladins. You know, the ones we've all heard horror stories about. Take, for example, his one stipulation in helping the party get the Helm of Disjunction, to redistribute the treasure they steal from Forge among Neverwinter's populace. If you're writing a paladin the boring way, they'd never help this group at all because they're outlaws and thieves. Xenk, however, knows better. He knows the whole world doesn't hold to his code, that it can't. Stealing is wrong, but the world is more complicated than that. Stealing from a rich bastard and spreading his treasure among the people of his city? That's something Xenk can and will gladly co-sign. He's far too old and well-traveled to think the world is truly black and white. It's those little nuances that make him work so well. And for someone who's in the story so briefly, he is clearly established as a multi-dimensional character. He believes in people. He admires Edgin and trusts him implicitly, even when, from an outside perspective, it's kind of naive to do so. He's kind and gentle, but feels distant in a way that makes a ton of sense once you know his backstory. As a paladin, he's a charisma-based caster, which is probably how he gets away with being so socially clumsy and still coming off so goddamn charming. He's a masterclass in why paladins aren't actually boring if you do them right. Of course, there are a multitude of ways to make paladins interesting. People who dismiss them out of hand just don't want to do the creative legwork. Over a century ago, when Zastam seized control of Thay, Xenk was just a child. He escaped the full effects of the beckoning death, but it did touch him, leaving him forever changed. You might note that he is human, and yet still alive. It's not gone into very deeply because at the end of the day, this is not his story, but you've got to imagine it's been a very lonely life for him. Immortality often is. But he's still kind, still good, still determined to give back to the world that took so much from him. And that's not boring, actually. That's the start to a deeply compelling character who I would not mind seeing more of. On the whole, I had a fun time with this movie, and it alleviated some of the stress from an otherwise horrendous time. Fully recommend, go watch it if you haven't. Thanks for watching this video, and a massive thank you to the Entmoot, Pastel Pink Firefox. If you liked this, consider liking it and maybe subscribing. I will be back here Thursday after next. Bye!